She's here to transform a men's button-down shirt into a fashionable dress. Orly Shani. Only Orly Shani can do this.
I want you to know every shirt that's here at work for me is numbered and encoded.
Yeah, 'cause
and there's a
been in your
tracking
trailer.
device. There's a tracking
Kate and
device on it.
I have an arrangement. She's
No.
gonna let me raid that closet of yours.
Yeah. You just saw a shirt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so as we start coming into the summer months, that classic T-shirt or classic shirt dress is one of the most popular items that designers create and that end up in the stores because it's really elegant, it's really chic, it's really it's kind of can be dressed up or down depending on age. It's just a really great piece. And so it's been on my mind lately because I've been seeing them in magazines and in stores. And we figured that this is something that we can easily make out of a men's shirt. And the best part about it is that it's completely one of a kind. It is your own. No one else has it. It's special and unique and custom. And that's, obviously the most fun part about all of this.
And your man will never re-wear it.
Yeah, and well, the great
hope not.
well, maybe. The great thing too is that if you have, let's say, a shirt that your husband's no longer wearing, maybe it doesn't fit him anymore, or he's just not wearing it, but you love it, you can do this to one of those shirts, or you can just head over to Salvation Army. I bought this one. This is a Gap shirt.
A nice
you guys
shirt,
can
too.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. There is. You can't see the tag, but it was $3.99, and that was what I started with. And this is how it ultimately ended up coming out. And so you can see there's a couple things that I did aside from the sewing part of it. I cut my collar off because it was large. The lapel was large as well. So by cutting it off and creating that, what's that called, like a mandarin collar or whatever? Men's collar?
Yes, that's what it is.
Yeah. So I did that, I cut that off, and then I also just chopped the cuff off. That way it was easier to roll because the sleeves came down to
Right.
Yeah,
it does.
So there's a couple little things that you can do, but
Man, that looks comfortable.
Yeah,
it's
it
really
does.
zhuzhy.
Yeah.
Zhuzhing.
Yeah.
Zhuzhing it up.
Zhuzhing it up.
Well, show us how we can make this.
Okay, so the first thing you need is your shirt and then your elastic. Now, I bought this is called sports elastic because this is gonna go on the inside of your shirt, which means it's gonna be touching your skin. So you don't want that really thick, kind of crispy elastic. You wanna make sure it's really soft. Sporting elastic is a great option. You also want a trim of some sort. Now, this is gonna function in two ways. One, it's gonna bring a little femininity to a masculine shirt, and it's also gonna provide some length. This is a men's shirt, and it might be long, but it might not be long enough as a dress. So by getting a trim that adds some length, this added almost 4 inches to the bottom of my dress, giving me a little more length to wear it as a dress. Now, what you're gonna do when you're deciding on doing your elastic is put on the shirt and kind of see how much, what's the word?
Scrunching.
Yeah,
How much
scrunching.
you want to be
My brain
scrunched?
isn't functioning. Scrunching feels like the right word.
Okay.
So how much scrunching you want. And you're gonna measure your elastic. So what you need to do in measuring it is you need to pull it as absolutely tight as you can. And
Why?
say, because this is what it's going to, so let's say you start here and you start here, that's where we're gonna cut it.
Okay.
And when you let go, that's how small it is. If I had just put it from here to here, it's not gonna do anything.
It's not going to
Sure.
scrunch.
Right? So by going like this, when we sew it, it's gonna. So let's take a look at how I actually got the sewing part of it done. Now there I did, I measured my elastic, I pulled it really tight. I knew exactly how I wanted it and I cut that distance. Now I do the same thing on the back. You wanna try to keep the height of it around the same front and back. That way the gathering is
Placement of
done
it.
in the same
Yeah,
place.
the placement of that.
Exactly. Now you're only gonna pin it at the center, and that's it. You're gonna pin it on the back at the center because you're gonna be stretching it when you
Okay.
sew it. So we pin it in the center, and now I go over to the sewing machine, and you stretch it all the way, and you have to really create a lot of tension. Pull it towards you and pull it away from you and sew. That's what's gonna create, when it comes back together, it's gonna do what the elastic is supposed to do, which is create a tapered waist. So we're pulling
Do you
really
do both,
tight.
sides of
Yeah,
the
top
tape?
and bottom.
Okay.
Exactly. And then you're gonna do both, and then I would use either fabric glue or sewing that front panel down because that's your skirt. You do not want that opening.
No.
So you want to glue that down, and that is how this one came out here. So I've already added a little bit of the trim, and I'm gonna show you how I did it. But see, now this is glued. So now when I'm sitting, this isn't gonna pop open.
right.
But you leave the top open. This is open.
Right.
So you can step into a question.
Yeah.
So if you put the elastic on and it does that, doesn't it bring up the dress?
Okay, so the
the
great
shirt?
thing about doing it this way is if I went all the way around, it would do two things. One, it would create a lot of extra volume here. By leaving the side over the hip with absolutely no elastic, it keeps a nice flat shape.
Right.
And it brings all the attention to the front here, which is really flattering. If I had gone all the way around, it would go like this.
No, that's not
That's
very
not
You
good.
don't want.
That's not good.
So
Stop.
you want to
Make it
focus.
stop.
You want to focus
Make
right
it-
here, and
Mark
you
said
also
make it stop.
yeah, a really important note. You do not want to pull the elastic tight over that button placket. So you're going to pull really tight on this side. So. When you get to the middle, sew flat, and then pull again. Because otherwise, this is
Yeah,
gonna,
that was my next thing. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Fuck
that's,
her up. Okay.
and now, guys, the last thing you're gonna do is whatever trim you've chosen to do, I recommend using Fabri-Tac for this instead of sewing, because otherwise you're gonna really have to follow the existing seam line that exists on your hem perfectly in order for it not to look messy.
And you can wash it.
Yep.
It won't come
This-
off. The glue won't come off.
this won't come
I
off.
keep asking you that. It just seems like this is a miracle glue.
This really is.
No, it is. The space shuttle's made out of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, don't
That's
tell
what
me
they
stuff.
do.
So you
I
would,
believe everything you say.
so you're gonna do it, you'll create a little overlap right there, and then you'll cut that to be perfectly even. But ultimately, this would be this little finished one.
Look how cute.
And look how, well, I unbuttoned it. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Woo, sassy. So it would just be like this, and you can roll these sleeves up if you want. Yeah, I just realized it was fully open. Sorry. But that's really it. You're gonna focus here on the center. You're gonna
Could you
focus on
do
the back.
lace on that?
You could absolutely
Yeah,
use the
here's
trim.
this
Like I
lace.
could use this trim on my sleeve here if I wanted, like a nice little matching
Yeah.
cuff. You could absolutely do, and that's just personal design, whatever you want. Just make sure that this trim
Yeah,
gives
Mark
you
is
as much
designing
length
clothes
as is
now.
needed.
Yeah.